Nice to meet you.
See you. So, how's it going with the show?
Yeah, great. I mean, obviously, third day today. Really good to be here. And I think, our point of being here is obviously talk about the association, everything we do, meet some of our members and sign up new members.
Yeah.
Been a great show for us. I think probably better than last year.
Are you pulling a lot of people over from other membership organisations? Are you hearing a lot?
Probably pretty hard to gauge whether we do that. I think, people are coming along and asking about, obviously, the key thing for shooters is our insurance. And I think our insurance as a package is one of the strongest on the market.
Yeah. What is it, 2 million?
As far as numbers?
No, as far as public liability.
Oh, yeah. I think the key bit of our insurance, to try and get across is that we cover all sports. It's not just clay shooting. We cover all, whether it's deer stalking, whether it's fly fishing. Yeah, so we cover all of those sports as well.
I didn't know that.
And we also cover, we've got license revocation cover as well.
And
I think nowadays that's a key thing for members. So that's probably the main question that people ask when they come along about membership.
I've got a question for you.
Yes.
How much is your membership?
So £75 for the full competition membership, and then we do various other memberships as well for, Colts, juniors, and then we've got armed forces and police discounts that we offer as well.
And you do a hell of a lot of competitions, don't you?
We do.
It's everywhere you go, CPSA competition.
It is. I mean, that's a key part of the CPSA is the competition side. Whatever discipline you're in, we have a full competition season.
No, I think that's absolutely right. Now, of course, what I really want to talk to you about is lead.
Lead, yes.
Now, a lot of people, a game is one thing, competition shooting is another. People don't feel that they should have to give up lead in competition shooting. What do you think? And
that's the CPSA's position as well, on various levels. And I think where we are, and we've stated our position to the HSE in the consultation process, the CPSA's position is to keep lead. And we've made a suggestion to them that we could move to a 24-gram load, the Olympic load, and that would mitigate part of the risk. The reason why we've suggested that, because we have had some members say, why would you suggest that? That's giving into the potential legislation.
And also it's going to affect people shooting 24 grams.
Well, but they'll get used. We used to shoot 36 gram.
Exactly.
And we came down to 28 gram, and the scores have actually gone up.
What's going to be next, 21 gram? 10 gram?
No, but 24 gram, you can hit all targets. You can shoot OT with 24 gram. It's the standard Olympic, and that's why we chose that. I think an important reason for that is why, and when we talk to the HSE in the discussions of why, their concern is migration of ammunition, migration of usage. And the 24 gram for them, and they actually got it, the point is it's not going to be migrate over to game shooters, because that's part of their issue or concern.
Yeah. So how much leverage do you think the CPS... I mean, how many members have we got?
22,500.
Right, okay. So not as many as I thought. And how much power do you think that's got in terms of fighting this lead ban?
2 years ago, I probably would have said to you, not much. I think now, after I've had 2 years of slowly, working more and more with them, I think probably what I've learned is they are listening. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to do anything, but they are listening. There are open channels of communication. I think the target shooting associations have worked very closely together in a coordinated...
I will admit that. Everybody has worked closely.
And I think that's through communication with the other, like the NRA. We've worked very closely with them to have a message to go to the HSE with in their consultation process. And I think the important bit is, where have we got on that when you talk about how much influence? I think at least now they're listening to us. And they understand more than anything, because they've said it, of how complicated an issue this is for them.
So
it's multi-tiered, multi-leveled, and I think that's why they've made an extension of 6 months to actually...
So why not steel? What's wrong with steel? Why are you choosing to fight this lead corner rather than just saying
One,
shoot steel?
it works. Lead works, and it works. It works for clay shooting. I think when you look at the elite level of clay shooting, if you want to shoot internationally, you have to use lead. If you want to progress through and shoot the Commonwealth Games, so our England teams that go to the Commonwealth, you have to shoot lead. And then if you want to progress and shoot the GB team and go to the Olympics, you have to shoot lead.
Currently. But if they change it to steel...
And there's no indication from the IOC, ISSF, there's no indication at all that their position has changed to move away from lead to steel.
So do you think it's a case that they want to keep lead in the competitions but to shoot steel on the ground?
Well, that'd be a hard thing to do, is because how do you separate that from a competition shooter, an England shooter, who's going to practice and compete and go to potentially the Commonwealth Games, or a trap shooter that's in the GB team? How do you separate that when not only is on a ground, but potentially it's a different gun?
So they need to make a decision, don't they, whether to be all steel or all lead?
They do. And I think, again, I had a meeting with them just last week. We had them at Bisley, which we'd organised a visit for them. And I think even then, they're just realising, again, I go back to how complicated an issue is for them. And a couple of things that I've presented to them is things like noise. Noise is the one thing that affects our grounds more than anything. So we get our member grounds, registered grounds. If they ever really get a real issue, they'll ring up, and it will be to do with noise. What will shut down a ground is noise. So one thing we're looking at and working on now is testing for them to really consider, if they make us go to steel, are steel cartridges noisier than lead cartridges? Now that's something we haven't got a definitive on, but because you've got to put more powder in a 28 gram steel cartridge versus a lead cartridge, the premise is it's louder.
What an interesting perspective you've just brought to the argument.
Yeah, and that's an HSE language that they can understand, noise, because it's an HSC issue. The other one's health and safety, that is the more recoil if you shoot steel cartridges, because you have to drive them harder and faster to get the same performance from them. Therefore, is that a potential, to the user, of there's more recoil, more felt recoil. So it's those sort of things that you've got to present to them, because that's the language they understand.
Yeah.
They still might look at the evidence and go...
How much of this is you looking at the lead and the steel argument, or how much of it is you representing your membership?
Well, I think it's both. I mean, it's my job to represent the membership in all things, whether it's legislation, whether it's lead, or whether it's licensing. I mean, that's definitely part of my job, and I spend at the moment, a significant amount of time every week, every month doing that.
Now, just talking about the membership and the change of name.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So, the CPSA to the CTSA. What were your thoughts on that? Did you think this was a necessary change?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, from the time I've been in, I've always thought it would be a good idea to change, to look forward and look outward from outside the membership. And I've always understood that the membership internally, the current members, not all of them by any means, but a high percentage of them would be against it because it's change. And when I talk to people about it on the topic, I always put forward that it's not about, it is a change, but it's not about forgetting our history by any means.
No.
And we've actually used, we've used it in the past, and we use the phrase clay target all the time.
Do you?
All the time. It's on our British Telegraph British Open trophy.
Right.
Actually uses it's engraved in there, the clay target. It doesn't say clay pigeon. So, but I totally understand, and I've spoke to many members at regional AGMs, the passion that's behind the name, and I understand that. And that's why, I put something out just this week to say that we'd done our initial straw poll. It ended up with a very small majority.
Was it 52-48?
Absolutely it was.
And what does that remind us of?
Exactly.
Drawing a little bit of a parallel, isn't it?
But I think it is, and I've been to regional meetings where I've asked the question, put your hand up if you're for or against, and I've been in meetings where it's been 70% for a change, and then I was in the Essex regional AGM, or county AGM, sorry, the other week, And I think there was 60 people in the room, and 60 people put their hands up against the change.
And where does this leave you with people like trading standards and organisations such as that? Because they could very easily say, it's not clay, it's not a pigeon, you're being misleading.
No, I don't think it's an issue from a trading standards point of view, because the terminology of clay pigeon is a recognised terminology. Whether we shoot clay pigeons or clay targets, whether the grounds use the expression.
So there's nobody above putting pressure on you.
Oh, no. And this is something, and as I say, the statement that we put out this week was to say right now's not the time.
Yeah.
And we're a membership association. Our job, my job, is to represent and work with the members for the members. And I think we do that. And I think if you looked at it purely on a 50-50 type decision, we probably put it to the membership, and I probably think the membership would vote to change on a majority vote. But when you look at our articles, it's we'd have to put it to a special resolution. It'd have to be 75% would be achieved, and therefore I don't think we'd achieve that. It's a high number to achieve for any decision.
One thing I do notice about the CPSA though, you do get a lot done. You are sort of changing in little ways, like some of the rules for universal trench have changed, the cult thing, the super veteran thing. There are changes happening, so it's not like the membership or the committee, should we say, is constantly holding you up.
No, and I think it depends on the change, and people don't like change. As soon as we change anything, there's definitely comment that comes on it.
But we don't change a lot. You do change rules.
We do change some things, but we always try and change. What I always say to people, we don't sit there and change for change's sake. We change for a reason, and we don't just make quick changes or knee-jerk changes. We always either consult with the subgroups, the subcommittees. And it's not, me making changes. That's the other thing to probably explain. It's the board. If I've got something that we want to change and we think it's a good idea, it'll go through a process at the board.
Nobody suspects that that's what's happening, so don't worry.
But change for the right reason, I think is a good thing. Are we there, sitting there going every month we should change things? Absolutely not.
No. And what else have you got to tell us then? What's up and coming in the pipeline? What are you looking forward to? The dates have been released for all the big competitions. The locations have been released.
Yeah, and the competitions this year have been phenomenal. As far as the booking on process, we're sold out in most of the sporting, if not all of the sporting competitions. It's a really busy calendar this year. We've got the World Championships at
and
EJ Churchill's.
And you've had to extend it, haven't you? You've had to extend the days of English, but was it like 3 days and it's gone to 5 days?
No, it was what was it? It was 7 and we've gone to 9. It's great. When you look at it, we've got nearly 3,000 shooters, over that week. We've got over 200 overseas competitors coming. It's fantastic considering where we were coming out of COVID and the pandemic when we did it last time.
It's absolutely brilliant. And you're staying on at CEO?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, for me, it's a fantastic job. I really enjoy it. Been doing it 4.5, 5 years in July. No, for me, it's a fantastic job. Challenging at times for sure, but that's what's enjoyable about it.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Proudly sponsored by Premier Gun.